Okay, Monty Alexander, great pianist, with a beautiful tune, Matt Dennis composition, Angel Eyes. Here on the U at 1620 AM, 101.9 FM, and also broadcasting on the World Wide Web, on the internet, streaming live, which is really cool. And this is Bob Bernotas. I guess you call me a guest DJ here. I happen to be walking by, saw the radio station, and since I'd never been an open mic I didn't like, I had to come in and start doing something. And then I saw my friend Mel Martin walking by, saxophonist from San Francisco. And I don't see Mel very often because I live in New York, he lives in San Francisco. We used to work for the same crummy magazine, but we won't talk about that.
It was a great magazine.
It was a great magazine until they stopped paying us.
But we don't want to go into that.
We don't want to go into that. But hey Mel, we were talking before about your experiences with Benny Carter, and maybe you talk a little bit about your work with Dizzy Gillespie. You had some experiences with him as well.
Well, Benny Carter was my musical father. Dizzy Gillespie was my best uncle. Because again, I had been in awe of Dizzy Gillespie all my life, and I had been around him on various occasions, but I didn't really perform with him or get to know him till later on.
Right.
And I had a group called Bebop and Beyond that did some fairly significant recording work. We got grants to do the music of Thelonious Monk, and we got a grant to do the music of Dizzy Gillespie with Dizzy Gillespie. So he came out, we did some concerts together, Monterey Jazz, San Francisco Jazz Festivals, and made what turned out to be his last studio recording, which was a wonderful experience. And we're sorry we don't have our music together because this is all kind of last minute impromptu.
Well, maybe tomorrow we'll do that. Bring some by. Let me ask you, how did you get Dizzy to do a recording? Did you just call up and say, "Hey, Dizzy, you know, you want to do a record?" How does it happen?
Well, I had to get permission to, of course, use his name in the application for the grant.
Right.
So I got in touch with his manager, Charles Fishman, and he was very helpful to me in all that. And he outlined what Dizzy's fees would be, and within the confines of the money that I had put together between the grant and the record company and whatever other funding we got.
You know, actually, I talked to Dizzy Gillespie one time on the phone. This is kind of a strange story. I was working for a magazine, and it was like a kind of a strange little format. Basically, you would ask a question. It would be like, you know, I don't know, what's the worst part about traveling on the road or something like that, and then we would ask about maybe 7 or 8 musicians and get like a little, you know, a small answer. You would ask maybe Doc Severinsen and, you know, whoever, Freddie Hubbard or whoever you could get. And I decided I wanted to ask Dizzy Gillespie some questions for this thing. So what the heck, you know. And I talked to his manager, I talked to different people, and everybody was telling me, oh, Dizzy's, you know, just, you know, a busy man, blah, 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 you're not going to be able to, so, and I was just getting, not the runaround, worse than that, I was just getting, like, discouraged from these people. So finally, I got the 802 book, and I found Dizzy's number in the 802 book, you know, the musician union, for people who don't know what I'm talking about. And I said, I'm going to call his home.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey. And Lorraine answered the phone, and she said, well, Dizzy's not here right now. He's rehearsing at Carnegie Hall. They were doing a concert that night. This is back in the early 90s. But I'm sure if you call tomorrow at, I don't know, 5 o'clock, he'll be glad to talk to you. So next day at 5 o'clock, you know, answered the phone. You know, it couldn't be anybody else, that voice. Hello? Is that Dizzy Gillespie? Yeah, and he was like so cool. He was very polite and patient. He gave me as much time as I needed. Didn't need that much time, maybe 15, 20 minutes at the most. And it was totally cool. You know, just you can call Dizzy Gillespie on the phone. You used to be able to call Thelonious Monk on the phone. He was in the book. Sometimes he'd hang up, but you could call him on the phone, yeah.
Well, as we were talking about last night, when you get to meet these kind of people who are such icons and giants in the field, and you're in awe of them, but you forget they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. And they're just pretty much down-to-earth people, and their humanity is as great as, or greater than their talent.
And they're happy for the attention. They appreciate it.
Right.
You know,
as long as it's positive.
As long as it's positive. But, you know, I once called for a similar, that same format I was talking about with Dizzy. I once called Jimmy Hamilton, who, again, if people aren't familiar with Jimmy, he's a brilliant clarinetist, played with Duke Ellington for, I don't know, 25 years, something like that, very long time. And then he retired to the Virgin Islands, and I think he played there for a while, but I think he developed some breathing problems, emphysema or something, wasn't able to play at the time when I called him. So I called him at the Virgin Islands, and I said, you know, after we were done, I said, well, thank you so much for speaking with me. And he said, you know, thank you for remembering me. And I really felt kind of sad for him to say that. I said, well, you know, I'll always remember Jimmy Hamilton. He said, well, I hope so. You know?
But see, even long after somebody's heyday and they're kind of out of the public visibility, they're still living
Yeah.
every day just like anybody
Yeah.
else. And so for somebody to call you up and say, hey, your work was fantastic, I really appreciate talking to you, you go, yeah, I appreciate talking
Yeah,
to you too.
it reminded me that you know these really are just regular people who, like you say, live normal lives and appreciate the attention. And you know, I've never, of, of all the interviews I tried to do, because I used to do a lot of interviews, as you know, for magazines. I've only been discouraged twice, like really blown off twice, and one of them was kind of a funny experience. Actually, he was really nice about it, but it was Frank West. And Frank just doesn't care to do interviews. He's a very nice man, very friendly. We have many mutual friends. In fact, what happened was one time Benny Powell, the trombonist, and I were going to have lunch, and Frank West was coming into Benny's apartment building as I was going out with Benny because they have an apartment in the same building. And Benny said, why don't you join us? And I had never met him before, so we're talking, blah, blah, blah.